Hello and welcome to your daily news program, coming to you here on Canal Algérie. To the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, puts forward the state's readiness to boost the agricultural sector while chairing the National Conference of the sector. The Army General Saychin Greha, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, receives the Brigadier General Youssef bin Abdurrahman At-Tassan, the Director General of the International Cooperation of the KSA Defense Ministry. New revelations further implicating the corrupted Makhzen regime, with the European Parliament bribed in exchange of electoral support. And a bivouac is offered to our viewers in Tassili, Niger, being flocked by tourists to enjoy this novelty meant to attract more visitors. Good evening and welcome back. First up in our news, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, chaired here in Algiers the National Conference on Agriculture, a timely event meant to tackle the issue of food security, which tops the state's priorities. Taking the floor, the head of state gave the borderlines of an efficient strategy to deal with this vital issue in line with the current national and international developments. The gist of this paramount story with Melissa Kubash.
The President was received by the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Mohammed Abdel Hafid Henni, alongside other high-ranking officials. At their head, the President of the Council of Nations, Saleh Koujil, the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, the President of the Constitutional Court, Omar Belhaj, the Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Said Shingriha, the Principal Private Secretary, the Foreign Affairs Minister, and finally, the President's advisor. The conference was held under the motto, Sustainable Food Security. During his keynote speech, the President of the Republic affirmed that the challenge of food security remains among the government's top priorities, indicating that it was possible to achieve self-sufficiency in all agricultural products. The main important thing is to reinforce production of strategic agricultural products such as wheat, knowing that it's unavailable following the crisis in Europe.
بارتياح على ما تحقق من نتائج إيجابية خلال السنوات الأخيرة.
The President also hailed the positive results achieved in the agricultural sector, adding that it contributed with more than 14.7% in the gross domestic product of 2022, affirming that the sector has an important strategic place after hydrocarbons.
معناه في الدرجة الثانية من بعد البترول.
He also affirmed that strategic production is related to the production of pulses, which is why we need to grant it a great importance.
نتمنى باش تكون لها الأهمية القصوى مستقبلا. لازم نستعمل الآلات اللي تحتاجها الفلاحة، وهذاك علاش رخصت شخصيا باش نستورد الجرار، نستورد كل ما هو يتماشى مع إنتاج ما.
According to the head of state, the modernization of the sector to reach a rate of production of no less than 60 quintals per hectare is an objective that must be achieved, alongside the use of equipment needed in the agricultural field, adding that he allowed the import of machines used in farming as well. President Tebboune also affirmed that the strategic agriculture in the south can generate an important quality production twice a year, as against the rate recorded in the north, due to the region's climate conditions and potentialities.
في الجنوب تبغي لا دوبل كولتور، تنتج مرتين في السنة، مش مرة في السنة كما الشمال. ولايات الجنوب قادرة تنتج 100% نتاع الحاجيات من لي فوراج نتاع الشبع. السنة هذه نزيد
indicating the need to provide farmers with the necessary incentives to encourage them to produce even more.
هذا اللي يدير لا دوبل كولتور لازم نعطيه حوافز. الفلاحة مليح الإنسان ينتج ويتعب، ولكن عنده أولا المردودية نتاعو، ثانيا عنده المحفزات والحوافز اللي تعطيهم له الدولة.
Finally, President Tebboune indicated that we are not far from achieving self-sufficiency in food security.
شاعر أننا ما نشبعت بزاف على الاستقلال الغذائي نتاعنا، ما نشبعت.
The President of the Republic honored farmers and those investing in the agricultural sector as a token of gratitude to their efforts in promoting this vital sector for a better production and the achievement of food security in our country. For his part, the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman indicated that the state and private banks are called upon to finance the agricultural investment projects, stressing that the offenders will be sued for breaching the instructions or refusing to accompany the different agricultural, pastoral or other projects relevant to the sector. The proceedings of this conference are to put forward the achievements made so far in the agricultural sector and to work out an appropriate strategy likely to tackle food security, taking into account the President's guidelines. More insights in the following story covered by Amal Bouaqba. This national meeting on agriculture reflects the huge interest granted by the President of the Republic to this vital sector. The participants in this meeting hailed the instructions given by the President of the Republic, instructions found in a roadmap that will soon be implemented.
The President of the Republic asked the participants to double efforts in quest of developing and modernizing this strategic sector, despite the challenges via the use of new technologies, and preserve the different natural resources, especially water. We hail the President of the Republic's decisions. He said that 2023 will be the year of total exploitation of the agricultural sector. To achieve a real sustainable development, we are already working on this goal.
And among the President of the Republic's priorities is also the Green Dam.
A plan is already set up. We recently received the first financial package of 10 billion dinars for the construction of the Green Dam.
Today, agriculture represents 14.7% of the GDP. The goal now is to reach 30%, an achievable goal given Algeria's potential in the sector. Sustainable food security is a goal that Algeria is aiming to achieve by modernizing this vital sector via its rapid digitization. In another development, the Army General Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Saeed Shingreha, received on Tuesday at the headquarters of the High Command of the People's National Army the Brigadier General bin Abdurrahman Al-Tassan, Director of International Cooperation Department at the Saudi Defense Ministry, co-chairman of the Algerian-Saudi Joint Commission in charge of military cooperation. This took place in the presence of Major Generals of the High Command of the Ministry of National Defense, as well as other members of the Saudi delegation. During this meeting, the two sides discussed military cooperation between the two brotherly countries and exchanged analysis and views on issues of common interest. The Arab Italian Friendship Association honored Algeria through its ambassador to Italy, Abdelkarim Touahriya. The association hailed the excellent relations existing between Algeria and Italy in several contexts, namely in politics, economy, and culture. Abroad, new developments in the Morocco Gate case with further confessions of European MPs plunging the Mahsen regime into a more complicated situation of corruption. Ines Glou has details.
New revelations on the Moroccan Gate come to plunge even more the Mahsen regime in this corruption scandal with the European Parliament, and the investigation continues with irrefutable evidence. This time, a former member of the European Parliament, namely Pier Antonio Panzeri, admitted the main suspect in this case. Sums of money, at least 180,000 euros, in addition to gifts and trips, were offered by the Mahsen regime to bribe members of the European Parliament to bring them into the line with its approaches during the adoption of various texts in the European Parliament. The former MP revealed everything in front of the Central Office for Suppression of Corruption investigators because his good cooperation depended on the approval at the end of the investigation of his repentant note signed with the Belgian Federal Prosecutor's Office in January. Panzeri's new confessions, collected by the Belgian Judicial Police, hit the headlines of European newspapers, revealing the corruption that afflicted the European Parliament with the complicity of the Mahsen regime through its ambassador to Poland, Abdelrahim Atmoun, and Panzeri, who chaired for years the Joint Parliamentary Committee between the European Union and the Mahsen. Panzeri and Atmoun had close ties of interest since 2009. Corruption cases involving Pier Antonio Panzeri, who received more than 180,000 euros in cash, excluding other privileges for the Treasury, and an annual salary of more than 50,000 euros in exchange for serving the interests of Morocco. This relationship that lasted more than 20 years between Panzeri and the Mahsen via Atmoun was nothing but a deliberate desire to serve and justify the interest of Morocco, especially with regard to the file of Western Sahara and the plundering of its natural resources, but also to cover up crimes and flagrant violations of human rights by the Moroccan occupier. Panzeri was also going to put Atmoun in contact with MPs, namely Brando Benefi, Alessandra Moretti, and Andrea Cozzolino, and the fourth deputy. All in all, Atmoun succeeded in setting up a real corruption network within the European Parliament to serve the interest of the Mahsen.
Let's head now for El Hogar in the extreme southern Algeria to share with you a bivouac. This new element being introduced here to attract more tourists in a mesmerizing landscape and a matchless atmosphere. Najah Diyar tells us more.
Just arrived to Tagmert, nearly 70 kilometers north of Tamanrasset. Mohammed is already starting to unload supplies. He is preparing the evening bivouac for about 50 people in this region known for its mesmerizing landscapes, fresh air, and red rock sites. We often organize bivouacs here. We discovered this site a few years ago, thanks to our guides. Since then, we have integrated it into our tourist circuit. It is a very beautiful region that we try to give a chance to visitors to discover it. There we are unloading the material and preparing the evening. It's almost 8 p.m. and everyone gathers to sit down and eat. For some, it's the first experience of the sort, and also a unique and precious opportunity to spend the night under the beautiful starry sky of the Hogar. It is my third time to make a bivouac in the south, and it's going very well. I made numerous bivouacs almost everywhere in Algeria, and this one is very unique. We thank our brothers Tuareg who are making an exceptional ambience. With the Tergi music, dancing rhythms, the guests end their evening, which they always confess that it's an unmissable chance to live a real-life fantasy trip.
And with our magnificent desert, we wind up our today's edition. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.